Hans Joachim von Zieten, also known as Sergeant aus dem Busch, was a cavalry general in the Prussian army. He served in numerous wars and battles during the reign of Frederick the Great. Character: Zieten was a man of very small stature and had a very light voice, and these factors would lead him to have a quick temper, as other men were quick to insult him. He liked to drink and was extremely defensive about his shortcomings, purportedly engaging in 74 separate duels, although it is unlikely that he actually killed all 74 of his opponents. Beginnings: Zieten was born in Wastrow in the Margraviate of Brandenburg. He began his military career as a volunteer in an infantry regiment, retired after 10 years' service, but soon afterwards became a lieutenant of dragoons, being involved in some trade transactions of his squadron commander. He was cashiered, but managed to obtain reinstatement, and was posted to a hussar corps, then a new arm. At the time, light cavalry work was well known only to the Austrians, and in 1735 Rittmeister von Zieten participated in the Rhine campaign under the Austrian general Baron.He. Promotion: in 1741, recently promoted lieutenant colonel, Zieten met his old teacher in battle during the First Silesian War and defeated him at the Battle of Rothschloss. The chivalrous Austrian sent him a complimentary letter a few days later, and General Hans Karl von Winterfeldt, who had been in command at Rothschloss, reported upon his conduct so favorably that Zieten was marked out by King Frederick the Great for future higher command. Within a year he was colonel of the newly formed Hussar regiment, and thereafter his advance was rapid. In the Moravian foray of the following year, Zieten and his hussars penetrated almost to Vienna, and in the retreat to Silesia he was constantly employed with the rearguard. Zieten received the Palm of Merit for his success during the war, distinguishment and valor. Still more distinguished was Zieten's part in the Second Silesian War. In the short peace, the hussars, like the rest of the Prussian cavalry, had undergone a complete reformation. To the discipline they had added the dash and skirmishing qualities of the best irregulars, and the Prussian hussars were considered the best of the kind in Europe. Zieten fought the brilliant action of Molditane almost on the day he received his commission as Major General. In the next campaign he led the famous Siege Onraet around the enemy's lines with the object of delivering the king's order to a distant detachment. At Hohenfriedberg and at Katholisch-Hennersdorf, the hussars covered themselves with glory, shadowing the enemy waiting to pounce on them. Hennersdorf and Kesselsdorf ended the Second Silesian War, but the Prussian army did not rest on its laurels, and the training during the 10 years' peace was careful and unceasing. 7 Years' War. When the 7 Years' War broke out in 1756, Zieten had just been made lieutenant general. At Reichenberg and at Prague, he held important commands, and at the disastrous Battle of Cologne his left wing of cavalry was the only victorious corps of troops. At Leuthen, one of the most brilliant battles of the 18th century, Zieten's cavalry began the fighting and completed the rout of the Austrians. In June 1758 he was sent to protect a convoy with supplies for the army besieging Olmütz, but could not prevent it from being completely destroyed at Domstadtel. Despite that, he continued, during the whole of the war, to be one of Frederick's most trusted generals. One of the few errors committed by Zieten in his military career was his misdirection of the frontal attack at Torgau, but he made up for this mistake by his assault on the Siptitz heights, which eventually decided the day. Retirement. After the 7 Years' War, Zieten went into retirement, the hero alike of the army and the people. During the War of the Bavarian Succession, Frederick the Great forbade him to go, so he retired to his estate at Wastrow with his niece, Johanna von Blumenthal, whose son was serving in his regiment. During this period she gathered his reminiscences for a famous biography of him. 6 years after Zieten's death in Berlin, Frederick's successor, King Frederick William II of Prussia, erected a column to his memory on the Wilhelmplatz in Berlin.